Something remarkable is happening on the rails of Los Angeles. The Metro K line and A line are no longer just transit routes. They're catalysts of change. The K line, once a quiet corridor, is now buzzing with riders. The A line, with its new expansion, is setting new records. Together, they're sending a clear message. LA is embracing public transit with bold enthusiasm. But why now? What's fueling this ridership boom? And what does it mean for the future of mobility in the city? In today's episode of Great Trainspeed, we uncover the story behind LA's train-powered transformation. This video is created with the help of the Metrolink Railfan. Be sure to check out their channel and help grow our rail community together. The K line is one of Los Angeles County's newer light rail routes, and it's part of the 6-line Los Angeles Metro rail system operated by Metro. It's actually the newest named line in the network, officially opening on October 7th, 2022. Stretching about 11 miles, the K line runs roughly north-south from Jefferson Park down toward Redondo Beach. Along the way, it threads through key neighborhoods like Westchester, South Los Angeles, and the city of Inglewood, giving riders a new backbone for everyday trips across this part of the region. It also connects directly to the Los Angeles International Airport via the LAX Metro Transit Center, making it an important link for travelers as well. On November 3rd, 2024, Metro made a major service change to get ready for the opening of the LAX Metro Transit Center. As part of that shift, the western segment of the C line, west of Aviation Imperial Station, was reassigned and became part of the K line. That move reshaped how riders move across the corridor and strengthened the K line's role in the overall network. And now, the K line isn't just the new kid on the system anymore. It's starting to rack up some serious wins of its own. This year, it has hit a major milestone in ridership and performance. So, what exactly did the K line achieve? Let's dive in and take a closer look. In August 2025, Los Angeles Metro's K line quietly hit a huge milestone. Weekday ridership climbed to an estimated 8,225 riders. That's not just a 4.8% jump over July, it's a massive 153% increase compared to August 2024. And the story doesn't stop there. In September, the K line went even further, reaching 8,485 weekday riders, up another 3.1% month over month, and 156% over the previous September. For a line that's often been described as still finding its footing, this feels like a real breakout moment. Now, there is an important footnote. In November 2024, Metro reconfigured the C and K lines, and the K line picked up a few stations from the C line. That naturally boosted its numbers and reshaped rider patterns along the corridor. So, yes, comparing today's K line with its pre-reconfiguration self isn't exactly apples to apples. Still, even with that asterisk, the direction of travel is clear that more people are choosing the K line, and they're doing it consistently. If you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the combined ridership of the C and K lines tells an even more interesting story. In September 2025, the C line carried about 19,590 weekday riders. Add in the K line's 8,485,000, and you get a total of 28,075 weekday riders. That's the highest combined figure since February 2020, the last normal month before the pandemic hit. In other words, this corridor is not just recovering, it's pushing into new territory. And that's what makes this moment so encouraging. These aren't just stats buried in a report. They represent real people deciding that taking the train is worth it for work, for school, for games, for the airport, for everyday life. The K line is benefiting from better connectivity, a more logical network layout, and growing awareness of what it offers. So yes, we should acknowledge the asterisk. The line did inherit some stations, but at the same time, an all-time record is still an all-time record. For a young line that's been through construction headaches, service changes, and a major reconfiguration, hitting these numbers is a big deal. Hurrah for the K line, it's finally starting to look like the corridor Metro always hoped it would be. Excitement is mounting among transit riders as the K line continues to evolve. Many passengers are eagerly anticipating the northern and southern extensions, referring to the line as a bad boy poised for even greater impact. There's a shared belief that these expansions will unlock new opportunities, not just for mobility, but for community development. Some writers emphasize the urgent need for more housing along the K-Line corridor, suggesting that transit-oriented development, TOD, could be a game changer in boosting ridership and revitalizing neighborhoods. The hope is that smart planning will align with the transit upgrades, creating vibrant, accessible communities. Looking ahead, there's buzz around the upcoming Skylink connection. Passengers predict that once it's operational, the K-Line will explode once again, especially with the Torrance and Hollywood extensions in the pipeline. Optimism runs high, with many expressing that they can't wait for these additions, confident that they will elevate the system to new heights. And this isn't the final stop for this route, while even bigger projects are already on the horizon, shaping the vision for LA's transit future. Are you ready to see how the city's biggest and busiest light rail line fits into this growing wave of momentum and transformation across the metro system? Drop one if you're excited, or 0 if you have another idea. Since its opening in 1990, Los Angeles Metro's A-Line has evolved far beyond its original expectations. What began as a modest light rail route between Long Beach and downtown Los Angeles has transformed into the region's busiest transit corridor. This is an urban spine carrying nearly 15 million passengers a year, stretching 48.5 miles and connecting 44 stations. It's now officially the longest light rail line in the world, surpassing Belgium's 42-mile Coast Tram. But more than a record of length, the A-Line embodies Los Angeles' broader ambition to build a world-class, multimodal transit system ready for the challenges of the 2020s. The most recent extension, opened in September 2025, reconnected the San Gabriel Valley to the regional rail network for the first time since 1951. By extending the A-Line eastward to include Azusa, Glendora, San Dimas, Laverne, and Pomona, LA Metro revived a corridor that had been dormant for more than 7 decades. In just 12 days of service, the new segment recorded nearly 3,000 boardings, a very strong sign of public enthusiasm and pent-up demand for rail connectivity in the suburbs. This expansion comes during a period of renewed optimism for LA Metro. The agency reported 26.26 million boardings in September 2025, only 1.9% below the same month last year. This remarkable stability considers economic fluctuations and post-pandemic travel patterns. Even more importantly, Metro achieved 30 consecutive months of year-over-year ridership growth up to mid-2025, a feat few large U.S. transit systems can claim. Overall, system-wide ridership grew by an average of 1.1% annually, signaling a gradual but consistent recovery. Much of this resilience can be traced directly to the A-Line's performance. The line's new reach into the eastern suburbs has opened opportunities for thousands of commuters and event-goers who once relied on congested highways like the I-10 and I-210. Weekends, in particular, have seen a notable surge in ridership, reflecting the line's growing role not just as a commuter link, but as a leisure and tourism route. Families, visitors, and sports fans increasingly use the A-Line to reach cultural districts, beaches, and upcoming venues for international events. The Metro A-Line extension has people genuinely excited, especially those who've been waiting years for better transit options across the San Gabriel and Pomona valleys. One rider, who's also an A-Line train operator and a passionate transit advocate, shared how special the opening day felt. They brought their brother along and said it reminded them of the Azusa extension back in 2016. It felt like reliving that moment, they said, clearly proud to be part of it. For many, this is about finally having a real alternative to driving. The daily grind of commuting from Pomona Valley to Pasadena by car was exhausting and frustrating. Now, with 4 new stations added, there's a sense of relief and celebration. Metro is great. I ride it whenever I can. Love it, one passenger said, echoing the enthusiasm of countless others. And the excitement doesn't stop there. Some riders are already looking ahead, hoping the line will continue eastward. I hope this extends to San Bernardino, one person said, capturing the growing hope for even more connectivity across the region. We're going to leave it here for today. Thank you for being here. Until then, take care and stay motivated. LA's ambitious new train system was supposed to be a game changer. With billions poured into its development, it promised faster commutes, cleaner air, and a modern transit experience. But recent revelations paint a grim picture: mismanagement, technical setbacks, and political infighting threaten to derail the entire project. Is this the end of LA's transit transformation, or just a bump in the tracks? Join us on Great Trainspeed as we dig into the drama, the decisions, and the future of this high-stakes infrastructure gamble. The idea for the APM started in the early 2000s when officials realized LAX's internal traffic had become a nightmare. Surveys ranked it among the least convenient major airports in the U.S., and shuttle rides between terminals could take up to 15 minutes. By 2018, the Los Angeles City Council approved the project under a public-private partnership using the Federal FAST Act. The idea was simple. They let a single team handle the entire job, including design, build, and run, so accountability would be clear. Lynx brought in global players with Bechtel for infrastructure, Fluor for engineering, and Itochu from Japan for financing and logistics. Technically, the APM is impressive. It will use 8 trains, each with 3 cars, traveling on twin guideways at speeds up to 35 miles per hour. 10 stations will feature elevators, digital displays, and accessibility for everyone. The trains use Bombardier Innovia technology with 0 emissions, in line with California's clean energy goals. The APM connects directly to the LAX Metro Transit Center, which opened in 2024, linking passengers to the regional bus and rail network. This center is vital in a city still dominated by cars. At first, the deal looked like a success story in the making, but that vision soon collided with the real world of deadlines, regulations, and disagreements. No big project is ever smooth, and LAX's new train proved it. Lynx was supposed to manage everything under a design-build contract meant to prevent endless changes. But instead of streamlining the process, it created tension. With crews working around a 24-hour airport and strict safety limits, progress slowed sharply. Productivity fell, deadlines slipped, and tensions deepened. In 2024, Fitch Ratings downgraded the project's credit status, citing prolonged dispute resolution and uncertainty regarding timely completion. At the center of the fight was leverage. The grand jury accused Lynx of using the legal process as pressure, hinting that drawn-out lawsuits could stall the entire airport. Facing global deadlines like the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics, LAWA chose compromise over courtroom battles. The result was a global settlement in late 2023 that the city would pay $550 million to resolve all disputes, and Lynx agreed to finish construction by December 2025 with full service by early 2026. Still, Ackerman admitted that even this deal was fragile, and backup shuttles remained part of the plan. These struggles aren't unique. Experts like Bent Flyvbjerg call it the iron law of megaprojects. They run over time, over budget, and under expectation. The LAX case shows that even innovative funding models like P3s can create imbalance and give private companies too much leverage when public agencies are desperate to deliver. Despite the drama, the project's finances have stayed surprisingly stable. The $1.9 billion base covered core construction, including the concrete guideways, electric systems, and train sets. Most of the added costs came from redesigns needed to meet environmental or safety standards, like adapting to local bird flight paths or strengthening supports for earthquakes. The $550 million settlement more to the total contract. Still, Fitch warned that rising costs could hurt the city's broader modernization program. Higher borrowing rates could affect runway upgrades and other airport projects. Yet supporters argue that the long-term gains will outweigh the pain. Over 30 years, the automated system is expected to cut operating costs by 40% compared with diesel buses. It will also reduce ground transport emissions by half, helping Los Angeles meet its 2050 carbon-neutral goal. During major events like the World Cup, the APM could support 500,000 visitors, generating up to billions in local spending, since this is one of the biggest and most attractive events all over the world. The hope is that once the system is up and running, today's financial worries will fade into the background of a cleaner, faster airport experience. To understand LAX's project, it helps to look abroad at how other airports handled similar challenges. In Atlanta, the 1.5-mile SkyTrain opened in 2010, linking airport terminals with the region's rail network. Built for $600 million, it was delivered on time and under budget. Rather than a full P3, the project leaned on clear communication and standing dispute resolution forums to keep work moving. Today, the electric driverless system runs 24/7 and provides free rides to an estimated 5+ million passengers each year. Miami International Airport's MIA Mover broke ground on March 2, 2009 and opened in 2011. The automated people mover costs an estimated $259 million and uses Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Crystal Mover vehicles. Delivered via a design-build contract, the project was funded by the Miami-Dade Aviation Department's Capital Improvement Program and the Florida Department of Transportation, with a projected 48,000 daily riders by 2020. These global cases show both promise and warning. Automated people movers save energy, improve passenger flow, and create long-term value, but they depend on trust, transparency, and coordination. If Los Angeles can apply those lessons, its troubled project may still end as a success story. So, after all these numbers and challenges, can Los Angeles still deliver a system that works as promised? Drop 1 if you think yes, and 0 if you believe it's easier said than done. As of late 2025, about 96% of the guideway is complete. Train testing is expected to begin in early 2026. Meanwhile, LAWA plans to use electric shuttles as a backup during the World Cup, ensuring smooth passenger flow. Beyond construction, the project's legacy may lie in how it reshapes urban mobility. The APM supports contactless boarding, purified air systems, and other post-pandemic features that make travel safer and faster. It could also create several permanent jobs, particularly in maintenance and tech support, benefiting nearby neighborhoods like Inglewood and South LA. However, deeper questions remain. The APM highlights both the potential and the pitfalls of public-private partnerships. Future projects may include new rules to avoid similar conflicts. Public reaction to the latest delay of the LAX automated people mover reveals a deep mix of frustration, skepticism, and fatigue. Many online commenters expressed disbelief that a project so visibly near completion could still face repeated setbacks. One exasperated user wrote, "So frustrating," while another expanded on the sentiment, "The stations and guideway look nearly done, yet updates rarely include clear reasons for delays." To them, the problem isn't just the missed deadlines, it's the lack of transparency. "It would be nice if we got more information," they said, echoing a wider sense that the public deserves clearer communication from the agencies involved. Others were harsher, calling the situation extremely pathetic and suggesting that everyone responsible should be ashamed of themselves. Yet not all voices agreed on where the blame lies. One commenter defended the construction workers, arguing that the workers did great. The managers and leaders, not so much. While another countered that if the project is stuck at 95% completion due to structural or design errors, then maybe the workers didn't do great either. Some added a note of cynicism, recalling a time when companies were penalized for failing to meet contractual deadlines. "I didn't know they could just refuse the design and charge extra for a design they like," one wrote, summarizing a common suspicion that accountability has eroded. Altogether, the discussion paints a vivid picture of public impatience and eroding trust. After years of promises, the LAX people mover has become, for many, a symbol of bureaucratic opacity and managerial missteps. Yet beneath the anger, one thread remains clear. People still care deeply about the project's success, and that may be the very reason the disappointment runs so high. That's a wrap for today. We loved putting this together. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.